The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is All Things Elite. Welcome back to All Things Elite. Load up the pod, man, it's on when we speak. Rich right here, let me warm it up for Austin and Floyd. Couldn't be no one but the boys. When it come to All Things Elite from the fan perspective, swear, man, it ain't no question. Hear from them first. Swear, man, they putting in the work. No, they had to get me for the verse. Social Suplex Network's on. Hours at a time in your headphones. Austin and Floyd on the microphone. Backing out on the rant, getting in the zone. Pulling up the show, give it 7 stars, you already know. Who else could it be but the show with the proclivity for positivity? I'm gone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 220th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. My name is Austin Sumwoods. I am the host of this lovely show, and joining with me, as always, is my co-host and my partner, my good friend, Mr. Floyd Johnson Jr. My man, how are you doing?
Hail to the victors. Is how the song goes. I am doing well. I am doing well. I've had a pretty good week. I know everybody's like, oh, you start off with sports talk, but my Chiefs basically gave everybody the week off and still won the game. So You can't ask for anything more. This is the first show of the new year, so I'm excited about that. All my teams are undefeated in the new year, so I'll take that. I'm really excited about 2024. I got my London trip all in again this year, and looking forward to that. Going to 2 AEW Dynamites next month because I married the perfect woman. So they have a Dynamite on February 14th, and I got the day off, and I was like, because I wanted to spend with my wife, and I was like, so do you want to do romantic stuff? I actually made a reservation for dinner in case she said yes to that, or I was like, or do you want to go to a wrestling show? And I was like, I mean, don't feel pressure to go to a wrestling show. I go to wrestling shows all the time. It's not a big deal. She's like, no, I want to go to a wrestling show. I was like, and I looked at her in the eye and I was like, every now and then you remind me that I married the perfect woman for me. I'm like, it's like, because it's like there's no reason for her to say yes or that she wants to go to the wrestling show, but she does. She likes Dynamite. She likes live wrestling. She really doesn't watch it at home. Like, very rarely. I'd have to, be in the living room taking over the TV for her to watch it at home. But she likes live experience. So it's kind of cool that she gets to go.
Yeah, that's spectacular. I want to say I'm doing well. I want to apologize. Our first show of 2024 was supposed to be last week. Unfortunately, I was not feeling well. I had a very rough patch of sickness, being all kinds of just a basic cold, but it was kicking my ass. Not to mention, we, like Floyd said, finishing up college football coverage. One of our teams did make it all the way to the national championship and won a national championship. Shout out to the Wolverines. So we've been covering them like crazy. I got rained on a whole bunch in Ann Arbor last night. I was so tired. But I'm going to Orlando after this podcast, so I am good. But
what are you doing after Michigan wins the national championship? We're going to Disney World. Yes.
Totally was not my intention, honestly. But that's how it ended up working out.
Yeah. So your dad, you should record a video of your dad saying, "We're going to Disney World."
Honestly, I will, and I will send it to you. I will do that with Michigan gear on. I will get that for you for sure.
Dude, I was seriously happy. Like, literally, I got a lot of friends in Michigan, more than I thought, and more people that
There's a lot of them out there
that root for Michigan. So 27 years without a title, that's a long effing time. So
since my birth year, dude, it's crazy. Yeah. And it's outstanding. My dad, such a Michigan fan. My uncle, same thing. Especially my dad too. Like, seeing this, the fact that this happened at the same time as the Detroit Lions getting their first home playoff game and winning the division for the first time in 30 years, like, dude, he's over the moon right now. Sports couldn't be better for this man. Like, his two favorite teams are just, they're clicking right now. And best of luck to the Lions. Kick Matthew Stafford's ass. On that note, though, again, I apologize that we weren't able to have a show last week. It was supposed to be a World's End review, and we really wanted to get that out. But again, I just was not feeling good. But we're all here, and we got a ton to talk about. We're going to go quickly over our thoughts on World's End before we talk about Dynamite, which just wrapped up air at the Daily's Place just a couple hours ago when we're recording this. But before we get into all of the AEW stuff, we want to make sure you guys are downloading this fine show on Google or Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Spotify or wherever you choose to listen to us, rate, review, subscribe, all the 9 yards, and be sure to follow it so you don't miss a single episode. And follow us on social media. We are at AT Elite Pod, at Social Suplex are the guys that make this show possible. Check out all the other shows they have on their network. I am at Austin Sumowitz, SZUMOWICZ, and Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. The big news of the week is the fact that AEW is officially 5 years old. We all remembered when on Being the Elite 5 years ago when the clock hit midnight on New Year's and that video came out of the Bucks and Hangman and they all had their phones and it showed the AEW logo and Double or Nothing. And it was a huge moment. And then we got the press conference at Jacksonville where Chris Jericho was announced. Like, it's crazy, dude. I still remember all of that vividly. And the fact that it's been 5 years is just insane. It doesn't seem real to me. But it's been a crazy ride watching AEW just grow and change. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been amazing.
Dude, I was working overnight, so I was literally up when it was announced. We were like refreshing because, you know, basically they said the BTE was dropping at midnight. So it was like, you know, we were just waiting for that show to drop. And man, it did. I mean, for that to drop, and it was like life-changing. I mean, for me, life-changing. That's the best way that I can say it. Is that the whole experience with, you know, Cody and the Bucks and everybody was just it literally changed how I vacation, how I did it. It changed the friends and people in my life. It changed everything. I mean, AEW existing is like if you like Floyd, what if you know, how would your life be if AEW didn't exist? I couldn't even begin to start. I mean, that first year, AEW, me and my wife got married that year. You know, like a whole bunch of stuff just went into it, and it's just like it's like you can tell that life in the last 5 years. The show started the late February, so in February we'll be celebrating our fifth year anniversary of the show. It's just, I mean, you know how we do the show every week, and you know, and it's just. I can't even put into words. You know, did we even know each other 5 years ago? No, right?
No, when AEW was announced, we didn't know each other.
We didn't even know each other 5 years ago.
We met you at shows. Sydney introduced me to you.
Yeah, so we didn't even know you. So it's so extreme. How many people I didn't know? So many people I didn't know before AEW existed. So. I'm very happy that happened. You know, and you when you look at the Social Suplex Podcast Network, and you know, now it's like we are. If you want AEW coverage, you don't need another podcast. We cover the show. One Nation Radio covers the show. We got new shows. We got new shows on the podcast. I just listened to one, and I want to make sure I shout them out because I really enjoyed the show. The Trish and Sarah show, they reviewed World's End, and I'll tell you, you'd be like, oh, they're doing AEW, you're doing AEW. Completely different shows.
Yes,
completely different. I listened to them in the car. I made sure I listened to the whole episode, and it was just so fun, refreshed. I laughed the whole time. I thought their show was great because I was like, this another AEW show. I'm like, no. I enjoyed it. Definitely have a different feel than what we do, you know, and yeah, so everyone make sure you're downloading all the Social Suplex shows and supporting all of them. So welcome Trish and Sarah to the Social Suplex Podcast Network. But
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, honestly, this network doesn't have a lot to talk about if it wasn't for AEW. I mean, we got Keeping It Strong Style, New Japan, the ace of New Japan podcast, and then you got One Nation Radio who kind of does the high podge, but a lot of the rest of us cover AEW, so we wouldn't have a lot to talk about, and the show doesn't exist if it isn't for AEW. So I am happy, definitely happy. For 5 years I was just sitting there and I was like, and this is, I've told Austin, I'm gonna try to do on each shows, we're gonna try to do in 5 years like different top 5 list. And our top 5 today, what we'll cover at the end of the show, is our top 5 live AEW experiences. So we had to be in the building for it. So if you hear something, you're like, oh, why isn't that on there?
Because we weren't there.
We weren't there. So no, this is our top 5 experiences. So I hope you look forward to it. So
yeah, we'll close out the show with that. Yeah,
I'll quit rambling now and let Austin take control.
All good. Yeah, we're gonna quickly cover because we were supposed to do a World's End review last week, and unfortunately we weren't able to because again, your boy was sick. But really quickly, just going over it. I want to say off top though, the show started and ended great. I felt like. With the 4-way match that opened up the main show, and then also having Andrade and Miro, who also killed it. Shout out to Andrade. He's no longer with AEW, and like hell of a match for him to go out on too. I gotta say, like that was a really strong match for him to close things out on. And the show ended really, really good.
Yeah,
the middle was like.
Dude, honestly, I'm kind of relieved we didn't do like a full World
honestly,
because again, our thing is we're positive, we're proclivity of positivity, and dude, I would have been having to do some fantastic spin because we don't lie. We look at the positive and we focus on what we like, but we try definitely not to lie. And I gotta tell you, 7:00. That first, I watched the pre-show. Really, I enjoyed the pre-show. I enjoyed Battle Royals. I thought Chris Statlander and Willow killed it. Me and Austin were talking about that. Then the 4-on-4 match comes, and it's like, bang. Okay, here we go again. Another AEW banger pay-per-view. Then the next, I didn't do math. Next 2.5 hours of blah just happened. Mm-hmm. And that's the best way.
After the Andrade Miro match, I kind of was just like, we were like, I was falling out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was really hard for me to stay awake, and it was like, and I was just like, it wasn't, I wasn't tired. My brother was with me. My brother was here. He left. He said, "I'll just catch it in the morning." And I was just like, that made it was uncomfortable because he's like, "Oh, I'll just catch it in the morning," because we're sitting there and we're sitting there and he says this. I did not say this. He said, "This is boring." He's like, "Dude, this is boring," and I'm like, I wanted to fight him. I really did. I wanted to be like, "No, you're just not." No, it was.
No, and I've gone on record by saying, like, AEW does not have a bad pay-per-view. The only things that I count, like, that were, like, maybe not the best were, like, the stuff before, like the first Fyter Fest or the first Fight for the Fallen, because those didn't feel like pay-per-views, you know what I mean? Because they didn't have a TV deal, and they were just doing shows until they got a TV deal. That, I don't kind of count that. That's a weird area of the start of the company. But since like they got the TV deal and since All Out 2019, there wasn't a bad show. There just wasn't. This was the first one where I was kind of like, again, good stuff on here. You don't take away from the fact that there wasn't good stuff on here. But as an overall package, kind of was a dud.
And it's honestly, I can say AEW is kind of a victim of their own success. Because they've put out nothing but banger pay-per-views. And if maybe, let's say we'd had some average pay-per-views, this probably wouldn't have hit as hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have hit.
I saw JR say, Jim Ross, not RJR, but I saw Jim Ross say that this pay-per-view felt to him like AEW, like hitting the reset button. But to me, that was what All Out this year felt like. All Out this past year felt like the reset. And that show was still spectacular, I thought. This didn't feel like a reset. This just felt like, coming out of a reset, you're trying to find your footing. You know what I mean?
It seemed like it was the best way to put it. It was a pay-per-view that was basically built on two things: the Continental Classic Finals and who the devil was. Not even the MJF Samoa Joe match, which was fine to good.
I would add a third one there with Copeland Christian Cage.
See, Copeland Christian Cage, definitely a surprise, definitely great. But the pay-per-view to me was built on those two things. It was like, oh, you're going to get the end of the Continental Classic. You're going to get the devil reveal, right? And it was just like, even the MJF Samoa Joe match, I'm watching it. We're at the end of a long period of, I'm already tired. We're at the end of a long period of wrestling shows. I probably didn't give it the focus and attention it needed because I just wanted to know who the devil was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just me being 100% honest. At that point, I was at the end of the night. I had dealt through that long period of time of, kind of boring. And then we got to Copeland and Christian, and they woke me the fuck up. Then Eddie and Mox did their damn thing. Actually shocked me on who the result. And then we got to the main event.
And they actually went and did it, dude.
And we got to the main event. I was like, can we just find out who the devil was? And it was like, I figured MJF, like, I had been told Samoa Joe could win and probably going to win. I figured MJF was just going to win. And then, because I've always been of the opinion that the devil or whoever the devil on the real deal needed to win the world title to really be in control. But I get what they're trying to do now. And we'll discuss it a little more as we talk about each match. But yeah, I was just like, MJF and Samoa Joe, I was like, this would be a really amazing match if I just cared more. I just want the devil reveal. I just want to know who the devil was.
Yeah, and again, going through a couple of the quick things real quick for me. Like I said, Copeland and Christian, like I said, they kicked the shit out of each other. It was great. The swerve of Shayna Wayne turning on all of that, and aligning with Christian Cage. Shocking in the moment, and now she's in this point where she's saying the you boo me and stuff like that. I know what she's doing and it works, but to me it just seems weird. I'm trying to put two and two together because I'm like, wait, you saw Nick get the crap kicked out of him, and now it's oh no,
no, she was cool. I mean, Nick's a wrestler. His dad was a wrestler. She's used to guys, them getting beat up. She's used to bumps and bruises. Edge can church at him, and that was that's a whole different level.
I know from that point, I was I get that one part, yeah. So but again, like I said, she has been making it work. But when I first saw it, I was just I was kind of trying to click with me. It has clicked in the weeks later, and like I said, it's starting to fit a little bit more.
The patriarchy works.
But it did throw me off a little.
Patriarchy works in its simplicity. It is very much 70s and 80s bad guy work, but they do it, and Christian takes it so seriously.
That's
and
the thing.
He doesn't break.
They both are just so dead straight.
Yes, and it's just it's there. There is no tongue in cheek when he says, "How dare you attack a man with a chair or whatever?" He means it. When he means it, and it's the commitment to the bit. I even said, I'm we don't really do awards on this show. We don't really do. That's not our thing. I just honestly don't have time to manage it. We don't do awards. But if I was, and I always say this, and if you talk to me, you've heard this way too many times. You've heard this way too many times. You probably don't want to hear it, but I think wrestling is so much more than just what happens between the ropes. So when I talk about my wrestler of the year, I'm talking about promos. I'm talking about the skits, the backstage segments. Everything is everything is included in that. And I'm like, man, if you ask me my AEW Wrestler of the Year for last year, I'm going to say Christian.
Yeah, there you go.
But like I said, you're going to be like, well, you remember this banger match? Okay, great. Absolutely. But Christian has elevated every segment he's been in, no matter if he's wrestling, talking, or whatever, for a whole year. Sometimes, very few episodes of Dynamite, he's literally the only thing to talk about. He's the only thing anybody's talking about. People want to hate him. People want to... He is so good. He's almost got MJF'd where, people are like, oh, let's love him. Let's love him, blah, blah, blah. And he won't let you. He cuts you off at the knees and like, no, you can't cheer me. No, I am a terrible person. And he's just so good at it. So I think this is some of the best work he's done in his career. I've always been a Christian fan, and I've always thought he was amazing. But yeah, this is...
Dude, I remember when I met Christian at WrestleCon. I think it was like 2018 or something like that. And I was just like, dude, you are so good. Like, if people have not given you your flowers enough, like, I will be the one to do that because, like, you are spectacular, and I hope you're able to wrestle again. I'm hoping that I can see you do more work because everything that you do, like, is, like, very, very good, and I feel like you have the opportunity to do even more great stuff. And seeing what he's doing now is incredible. And again, Moxley, Kingston, probably for me, match of the night. Like, those two killed it. And Eddie coming back from being on the brink of elimination to winning the whole damn thing and solidifying the, like, the constant, like, talk of him being a bum. Like, just, I don't know. This was Eddie Kingston's crowning achievement in AEW. I thought it was originally when he won at a Grand Slam. I believe it was last year. But this was it. Like, this is Eddie Kingston solidifying, like, nah, dude, this guy is for real. If people don't take this man seriously and don't realize that Eddie Kingston is that dude, like, you should. And Moxley, shout out to him too. And then MJF, Samoa Joe was all right. I'm so happy Samoa Joe's world champion. I love Samoa Joe. And then I thought the reveal of the devil, like I said, I've been saying Adam Cole, and it hit. Like, I was very much like, there it is. It made sense. It wasn't some, like, oh my God moment, but it was like, it made sense. You know what I mean?
So to JR's point about the reset, I do think something is reset. And I do think something did get reset. And honestly, I feel like they just went back to, I just feel like they went back to old AEW. The thing was, I always said it, and the problem I ever had with the Brutal Chachos, all that stuff, is that the AEW title was always above the sports entertainment stuff.
Yes.
The sports entertainment stuff happened on the undercard. It happened in the first hour. It happened in the middle. But when the world title happened, it was all about who was the best wrestler. Even with Kenny Omega acting over the top, it really was about who was the best wrestler. That's what the world title was about. And with the brochachos and stuff, that the silliness with the sports entertainment bled into the world title. And I personally did not like that. I like the world title being above that.
Said I definitely enjoyed, like, all the, like I said, the brochacho stuff. I thought it was entertaining. But it also felt weird to me that it was, the AEW World Championship was surrounding all this, like, goofy stuff.
It was the main event. MJF was working twice a night. It was just like, I don't like any of this, right? And it's just like, I didn't hate it or anything. It's just, it was bleeding over into this. And so when Samoa Joe won, and if you realize, he just won.
Yeah.
Adam Cole didn't punch him. It wasn't clean. It was clean. It was literally all Cole did was stop MJF from cheating, right? And a one-legged, one-armed man can't beat Samoa Joe. Period. That's as real as it gets. And he taps him out, and he wins the match. And then he walks away. He's done. He got what he came for. And then we got the devil reveal and all that. And with Samoa Joe, I feel like it's set. When Samoa Joe's out there and when the world title's on the line, it's gonna be about wrestling, right? The brooch when MJF comes back, whenever that is, if he comes back or whatever, that's all gonna happen in the first hour, the second hour, and stuff like that. But that world title is gonna stay pure and untouched, and I prefer it that way. You want to do the silly shit with the TNT title? I'm good with it. You want to do it with the international title? Yes, but the world title. The AEW World Title is supposed to represent the best wrestler in the world. I want that to be about wrestling.
Yes, and I think having Samoa Joe hold that, I'm all good with it. Like I said, I got no problems with it. So real quickly, though, those are our thoughts on World's End. Is it one of the weaker AEW pay-per-views? Probably so, honestly. I would say it's one of the weakest.
Yeah.
But even still, that's the weakest on a tier of, like I said, we've said banger, 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 banger. Like if I was even to give it a rating, like I would give it like a C.
Yeah.
That's it. You passed, but we know you can do better.
Yeah, no, it's like the valedictorian, and the valedictorian's like the last day of school. Hey, I'm just going to do this paper, and they just kind of phone it in and get a C. It's like, it's not that you failed, but I know you can do better.
Yes, exactly. That's really what it is. Like, we know this isn't your best work. And we know there's outside circumstances of why it wasn't as good as you wanted it to be. We understand.
Yeah.
But you've shown that you can overcome those circumstances in the past.
Yes.
So, like, do better next time. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, because I even said that the tag match where it was with Sting and Darby, all that, you literally could have spread that up and did a fatal 4-way tag, and pretty much that makes it or 4-way tag, and that makes it no rules, and threw a lot of stuff, and Ricky and Big Bill could retain. You could have easily done that, and it just would have been just as good, that kind of thing. And I just it's the same people involved. The women's matches. This is not a good night for the women's division as people that are.
That being said, Willow and Chris should have been on the main show.
Yeah, it wasn't a great night. It is like you tell me that Willow and Chris match for the TAS title, whoo, that would have been great. But no, the rest of it is like Julia's developing. Abaddon's getting better. You look at the other side, and it's who was in the match? I don't even remember who was in the match, honestly.
Who was in the what? Sorry?
The AEW women's title match.
It was Riho and Tony.
Riho and Tony, it was fine. It was fine. But I'm big on this. And this is a Floyd thing, and you have to make me believe that the challenger can win. At no point through the build, through anything, did I think Riho could beat Tony Storm. And that's a problem to me. Because that's kind of when I kind of check out.
Yeah,
it's happening, but yeah.
So moving on from World's End, we'll get into Dynamite now. However, there were some things that happened leading up to Dynamite that we have to talk about.
I was I can honestly say probably one of my first times I was like, why, Tony? Why?
No, exactly. So Tony Khan got on Twitter and was very much angry. So he tweeted out basically how this was a double standard. So,
did you do the USA Network tweeted
I did,
first?
Yes, I did. So
we got to talk about
the USA Network through a Twitter account responded to Raj Giri, sorry. Basically saying how, giving an explanation as to why Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal were all of a sudden having a title match on Monday Night Raw. And Raj was like, these guys have history because Seth defeated Jinder in the tournament finals to become the first NXT champion. Obviously, he's going way, way back. But then the official USA Network Twitter account asked, what was the cage match rating? Obviously linking towards the fact that TK has pointed to that as being the success of a lot of things for AEW. So Tony Khan immediately responds by saying that it's a double standard. Hook has a 28-1 record. He's on a winning streak. He calls out the champion. It's a logical challenge, which sparks online outrage. Jinder has literally lost every single match he's in for the past year, immediately gets a title shot, but where is the rage? To which he says then Dynamite's on TBS tomorrow. And then he responds to the cage match rating tweet from USA Network saying, a moral victory for USA is one win more than their world title challenger Jinder Mahal has had in the past 364 days, because it is literally a full year since he's won a match. You really put AEW in our place by getting Jinder in a big match on your TV show. Do it more often. Things started going crazy. Of course, Eric Bischoff then proceeded to try to chime in, and TK was like talking about Abaddon, and said reading would be your friend, Eric. And those two were going at it a little bit. And then all of a sudden it became a part where wrestling fans were all there either like shitting on Jinder or defending Jinder, or shitting on Hook and defending Hook. It all got very gross, if we're being real. It was not a good night for wrestling Twitter, which, I mean, in a lot of instances, when is a good night for wrestling Twitter? There's not many of them. But my favorite thing to come out of all of this was people saying everybody that's talking shit about Jinder and Hook, and then in that old video of Hook in a strip club, like, resurfaced. That was my favorite thing of the whole thing. Like, out of the whole incident that took place, just the picture of Hook with a stripper's ass in his face, not giving a fuck about anything else. That was the funniest thing to come out of this whole nonsense, which is what it was. It was nonsense. The USA Network Twitter, whoever's running that, like, you're childish, 1,000%. Like, don't let that guy off the hook, because that shit was childish. Like, what the fuck was that? Like,
I don't
people
think
get mad at AEW for taking pot shots, but then where was the outright rage for that? Like, that was a pot shot.
Tony Khan got baited.
Yeah, and that's what happened. You fell for the Twitter troll, and he went off. And that's the thing that I've always said about TK, is that he needs to get the fuck off of Twitter. Like,
I didn't mean, okay, again, as someone who is a Jinder Mahal, I wouldn't say fan, but appreciator, someone that liked Jinder Mahal. When he was the modern day Raja Raja and WWE champion, I had the shirt. I wore it all the time. Big fan of Jinder Mahal and his work.
That's you. That ain't me. I will say. I got nothing but respect for Jinder, but I was never a fan.
Yeah, big dude, good look, always, to me, always, did his stuff on the mic. He played a certain character, and he did it well, right? That's what I thought. Hook's fairly, still fairly new to wrestling. Kicking ass. Love me. Got my Sin Hook shirt in her closet. So my big thing is I had been asleep most of the day because I work at night, and I woke up and I was like, some people are like, I'm a real hooker, and some people are like, oh, don't hinder Jinder, and I'm like, I like both of them. What's going on? And then I catch up, and I'm just like, TK, come on. Like, I understand you have witty, quickie comebacks. I am a TK defender. You know me. I love the shit.
No, I remember when JR was furious, like, talking about this thing, and you guys are going back and forth about it. Yeah. Like, you love it when TK gets in the mud and plays around in the mud.
Yes, I love when you roll in the shit, right? But I don't like him attacking Jinder Mahal, who has literally never said anything about AEW.
No, exactly. If you want to attack WWE as a company, and you want to attack Triple H, and you want to attack Vince and all that kind of stuff, fine. Because at the end of the day, those are that's your competitors.
Yes, but
like the wrestlers don't deserve any of it.
Yes, because guess what? He hasn't won a match in a year. Guess what? He doesn't decide whether he wins or loses. He doesn't.
He's just doing it. Yeah, he's just doing his job.
He's doing the job. He showed up to work, and he's doing his job. And it's like, he doesn't decide whether he wins or loses. And if somebody offers you a title match and they say, hey, we're going to put you in a title match, you don't say no. You don't be like, well, that doesn't make sense. I haven't won in a year. No, you take the damn title match. And honestly, it's Rumble season. Guess what? World titles don't generally change at the Rumble. Everyone knows that the person that you feud with is kind of a lame duck challenger. You're just going to beat him. That's just how it works at the Rumble for the most part. So, I don't know. Like I said, Tony Khan defender, Tony Khan lover, love that man, but don't hinder Jinder. Don't go after Jinder. I mean, go after the booking or whatever, but I didn't like the whole naming Jinder because, like I said, I like Jinder Mahal. And I like Hook too. I am a huge Hook fan. I'm all about Hook. And I love where they're going with Hook going forward. But it's just like, I don't feel like you should call out people. And maybe you're calling out the character and not the person, you know.
That's a cop-out.
Yeah, that's a cop. Yeah, whatever. But I just like, I don't know. And
the way that I feel like about it too is, like I said, the comments that he was saying about, like, you know, why is nobody upset about this? Like, it does sound like, and we've always said, one of the things that we've loved about TK since the company started, the thing that we always talked about TK, the thing that we loved about him, the thing that we identified with him, was that at the end of the day, he felt like one of us. He felt like a wrestling fan. And he's shown time and time again that he, down deep in his soul, is a wrestling fan. And only a wrestling fan would complain about stupid shit like that.
Yes, no. And this was like, well, like I said, when we say he's one of us, this was the most one of us thing he's ever done. You know,
so everyone that's getting mad about it too, I guarantee you've tweeted something about this in the past about wrestling. We've all done it. Yeah. We've all been like, this doesn't make any sense. This is bullshit. Why the fuck is this happening? Blah, 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 blah. We've all done it. Okay.
And it's fine. I don't think he needs to put his Twitter away. I don't think he needs any of that. I still do
because this has been too much. Honestly, this was the tipping.
I just feel like when it's one of those. It's one of those. I'm gonna take you back to Family Matters for all you people to hear. It's like when Carl was getting really, really angry at Urkel, and he says 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. What the heck is bothering me? I need Tony Khan to do that before tweeting. And like, is your tweet going to inspire your fan base to get behind you? Right? Is your tweet going to boost, you know, people looking at Dynamite or your show? Or is your tweet just gonna stir a bunch of shit? Now, hey, he could be playing chess. Because guess what? For the last 2 days, when there's no AEW wrestling on, guess what people were talking about? You know? And it's just like, hey, and he always into it. Watch it on TNT. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of this interaction. Honestly, it's probably mostly because I like Jinder Mahal, but I don't really like him calling out any particular wrestler. Call out the company. Say Triple H is the dumbass. Say the WWE creative is shit or whatever. But to call out a wrestler who's literally, as far as I know, as far as anything I can find online, has never said a bad thing about AEW. You know, just he works, he does his job, he seems to be very uncontroversial. You know, let that man be. And I will end this like I began it. I like both Hook and Jinder Mahal. I also like both TK and Triple H. You know, it's like, I don't feel like, it's like, I'm all about support AEW. And I always say put AEW first. That's all, absolutely. I still believe that wholeheartedly. But it's just, like I said, it just felt like unnecessarily. I mean, I don't know what he was reading. I don't know if he went down a Reddit thing or whatever. But it just seemed like when you look at it, it wasn't really a reply to USA Network. It was just hey, I'm pissed off about this. Because I don't understand.
Why are people not mad about this?
Yes.
Why are you mad at me and not this?
Yes, and it's like the Hook thing. I'll say this all day about the Hook thing. He challenged the world champion. The world champion didn't accept. I don't even know what everybody was mad about yet. The match wasn't announced. Yeah. In fact, it
only got announced tonight.
Yes. I literally seen people do well done produced videos challenging Cody Rhodes to a match, and then he ignored him. It's like,
or just straight up said no.
Nothing had been booked yet. Nothing had been booked, and like it was like we're bitching about something that hadn't even been booked yet. You know, it was just like, oh, Hook challenge. That's likely where it's going, but it didn't have to go there. And it's just like, yeah, Hook's the first challenger for Samoa Joe. Does it matter? I don't know. It's wrestling. Y'all need to calm the fuck down sometimes. As excitable as I am, which I am, I'm very excitable. And I love the drama and I love the mud. But this one felt like much ado about nothing.
And it was. 1,000% it was. This had nothing. This was completely meaningless. And again, it just was just gross, dumb shit that did not matter at the end of the day. So please, everyone grow up. And I mean all parties involved. Like, I mean TK too. Like, you gotta really just sometimes pick and choose the right battles.
Yeah,
This was a battle that
unfortunately, whichever one you say, TK's damn near 40. And you know what happens around 35 with adults? We quit growing. A grown man. We are who we are. So TK is who he is at this point.
Yes,
he is.
But pick and choose your battles better.
Absolutely, he is who he is. So I'm never gonna tell that man to change. But I have like the one adjustment. I'll say, just don't go after the wrestler. Go after the company. Don't go after the wrestler.
1000%. So we'll get into Dynamite now, which took place at the Daily's place. It was the homecoming, which opened up with Claudio Castagnoli versus Hangman Adam Page. Great match to start things out. Both guys killed it. I loved it felt nice, you know what it was? Like, just having Hangman be able to, like, he just went over to the crowd during the match and grabbed a beer. Like, that's just classic Hangman stuff that we hadn't seen a lot of. That little moment there actually meant a lot. Like, I enjoyed seeing that again. But honestly, did really good stuff. The Avalanche Ricola bomb, like, that was reversed into a Hurricanrana, scared the shit out of me. Like, they hit it, but it looked scary. And then following that, you got 2 buckshot lariats in a row, and then Hangman got the pin on Claudio. They both did really, really well. Like, honestly, really good stuff in this match. And it was just really awesome way to start off the show. I thought this was just a nice banger to open things up.
Dude, yeah, this was a really good match. The VCC is not on a winning streak, just the best way to put it, because I don't want to piss them off and get beat up. But yeah, the VCC has not been winning a lot lately. So
they have not. No.
Yeah, no. It's so for the people out there that were kind of tired of them, I don't know who all of you are, but yeah, they seem to be trying to fix that a little bit. But when I watched this match, I was like, this is how Dynamite's supposed to start. Mm-hmm. This is how you start a Dynamite. I want you to start a Dynamite like this every week. I feel like Will Smith and Bad Boys. Like, that's how you drive. No, this is how you start a Dynamite. You start Dynamite with wrestling. You start a Dynamite with a banger. You start a Dynamite with 2 people. One could win, one could lose. Have them go out there and beat the shit out of each other. And I loved it. I was like, okay, this is Dynamite. This is Dynamite.
There you go. And moving on, we had a highlight package where they paid tribute to Mr. Brody Lee. It was a nice tribute of some of his best matches and some of his best moments, including him when he beat Cody for the TNT Championship. Nice moments of there. And there were 2 matches basically that paid tribute to Brody Lee. The match that happened afterwards was one, which was an 8-man tag that featured the international champion Orange Cassidy, Adam Copeland, Dustin Rhodes, and LFI's Preston Vance, who they had mentioned on commentary. Preston Vance and Anna Jay were basically set up as his, like, proteges and, like, the people that would, like, carry on his legacy. Those 4 men teamed up to face Lance Archer, the Mogul Embassy, Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona. So that was this match, which I thought was pretty good, honestly. Like, obviously did what it needed to do. I just want to say, too, this has nothing to do with the match itself. If you haven't seen Percy Jackson and the Olympians yet on Disney+, because Mr. Adam Copeland is in this and he plays Ares, it is spectacular work by him. Like, genuinely, like, I know he's acted in the past before, but, like this dude needs to get more acting gigs. Like, he's really, really good. And, like, this kind of, like, it felt like kind of old school Edge with him being an asshole, but also being, like, so charismatic and then just, like, you know, flip-flopping. Like, yes. he felt so, like, you know, traditional Edge, like so, like, bipolar, you know what I mean? Where he'll just be one way and then he'll just, like, absolutely, like, get that look in his eyes and you get terrified. Great work. Just gotta say, if you haven't seen the show, it's pretty dang good. And having Edge in it, playing Ares, he's great. I just have to say. I don't know if anybody watches Disney stuff or anything like that.
Yeah, I watched it, and I was just going to bring up a point. I was talking to my friend tonight, and she sent me a message, and she's like, I was watching Percy Jackson, and I was like, and I looked at this guy, and he's like, he looks a lot like Edge, right? And he's like, but they got to the end and said it was Adam Copeland, and I was like, that's his real name.
That's who it is.
She was like, it took her about 20 seconds. She's like, I felt really dumb. But yeah, no.
Edge is his real name. You didn't know that?
No, he was, I thought he would, I watched the episode last night. Thought he was really good in it. Let me just tell you, I felt like he was Edge.
That's what I'm saying. It felt such like an Edge character.
Yes, it just like, it felt like it. He was just such a smart ass, and it was.
I know, no, and like my friend who was watching the show, she sent a Snapchat. I'm like, watch out for Edge. He plays Aries. He's amazing. He's a former WWE champion. And she's like, okay, cool. And she goes like, yeah, he's kind of a dick. I'm like, well, this is a guy who literally had sex with his girlfriend after he won the world title, literally like a day later. So like, she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, mid-2000s. What a time. So literally not even that out of character. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, dude, like the things the things he's like, oh, that's just family. I just don't want to be like that anymore. It was just, I was very impressed with his debut because I never saw him on Vikings. I saw him. Yeah, no,
I never watched that show either. Yeah.
There was another Eureka, I think that's what it was called. There was another show he was on. He was on Sci-Fi. I did watch that. Christian was actually made a special guest appearance, and I watched that whole series. So I'm very familiar with Edge from that he was a really good actor. But I didn't see any of the Viking stuff. So yeah, I was really happy that he got the role. I've enjoyed the series so far, so I hope it continues on. And he needs to book better. Yeah, more stuff.
Yeah, no, I would love to see Edge do more stuff. So, but this match, obviously done in the memory of Mr. Brody Lee, was nice. You know, it did what it needed to do. Preston Vance got the pin, hitting the discus lariat on Khan. So it did what it was set out to do.
And it looks like we're starting something with maybe Lance Archer and his, I think he's been rolling with the ROH group. I forgot what they're called.
Oh fuck, I can't remember. Yeah, but
it's like the ROH group, and it looks like because Brian Cage and Lance Archer started beating on each other, so it looks like that's going somewhere. And yeah, I'm all about beat meaty men slapping meat, so I sign me up for Lance Archer versus Brian Cage.
Yeah, no, that will be a lot of fun to see those guys beat the hell out of each other. So we then had a backstage segment with Bullet Club Gold. Obviously, they came out, and Jay White called out Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom. The Dynamite after it was revealed that Adam Cole was the man under the mask and he was the devil. And he basically said, you know, their Undisputed Kingdom is going after all the gold, but whatever they do, Bullet Club Gold will do better because they then were interrupted by the Trios champions, the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, and they offered the ability to maybe we should combine and we should team up again, to which Anthony Bowens called them the Bang Bang Scissors Gang.
Bang Bang Scissors Gang. I actually got a call doing that, so I missed that line, so that's a pretty good one. The Bang Bang.
Dude, it's it rhymes and it's like, you know, it just fits. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd buy the shit out that shirt.
Dude, I'm telling you. Well, first of all, shout out to the Oh Scissor Me Daddy shirt, which made a little bit of a viral trip on the Shirts That Go Hard Twitter account. Kind of got the ball rolling on that shirt because literally, I think AEW released a new version of it. Basically, re-released that shirt because it was starting to get traction because they were like, oh shoot. People found this shirt that aren't wrestling fans, but they're like, oh, it's a scissor shirt. I want that. And like now all of a sudden it started like getting a lot more attention. So like they brought that up about Bang Bang Scissors Gang, which again, you make merch of it, it will sell. Jay White goes, we're not a faction, we're a gang, but we're going to need a little bit more time to ponder that. But you guys sit by your phone. So basically he didn't say no, which is what I like to know. I like
because if you noticed, Austin is all about it. He's like,
oh, he's all about it.
He's like, he makes more sense. He's tired of not being.
Jay is like, y'all can calm down.
Yes. Dude, they put out some new shirts on Shop AEW. I wanted to throw that out there. The Adam Cole Devil shirt, where it's half his face, half the devil.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking epic shirt. I thought that was really cool. And they got a Danhausen Ringer shirt. So it's basically the CM Punk shirt, but it's with Danhausen's face. And so look it out. But yeah, they've put out a lot A lot of new shirts. So go ahead and check those out on Shop AEW.
Yeah, the Eddie Kingston ones, both the Top Rope Tuesday one and the Continental Crown shirt they put out was pretty awesome.
Yes.
And yeah, they've got some good ones right now.
Dude, honestly, it's like I'm trying to be more responsible with my spending, and it's just like they keep putting out stuff I want.
I know, dude. I know. Like I said, I already went crazy with some of the shirts. They put out AEW polos. When it gets warm again and I can go golfing,
Yeah.
like I'm getting those. Like they're like not only just Adidas brand, but they also have Oakley shit, dude. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they got good stuff. So yeah, definitely support the site, support your favorite wrestler, support your wrestler.
I'm still waiting for my Swerve's House shirt to show up in the mail, dude. I'm waiting for that.
I'm waiting on my Willow shirt to show up. I'll definitely. I've been on a kick where I have 20-something FTR shirts and 20-something Cody shirts. I'm trying to show love to the people that don't get a lot of love. Like I don't think I've really seen a Willow shirt except when I wore it. And so with wrestlers, I'm trying to make sure that I start checking off the boxes of people that don't get the same love that everybody else do.
Yeah, absolutely. We then move over to the AEW World Champion Samoa Joe walking out and basically, I stand before you, AEW World Champion. I was destined for this. So tonight we're going to make some changes to the Championship Challenge Protocol. So when you're champion, when you become a marked man, and I even heard a devil who makes a bad deal is looking for Samoa Joe. So here are the changes, basically. No more will you have to come out and whine on this mic about your poor misfortune. You bring your record, you bring your reputation, and you submit it to the championship committee. If you are deemed worthy, you walk out here and have me stomp your ass in front of anybody who ever cheered you, which is so fucking good. And then he said, a new championship era is here. Anyone who wants a piece of me, your champion will be waiting. Swerve Strickland comes out. I fucking pop, and Swerve just goes, basically, listen. A couple months ago, I told Hangman Page it wasn't personal because I was after his spot. And look what happened. I took his spot. So I'm reiterating the same thing to you, Joe. This isn't personal. I want that world title. I will take it. But after I take that title and you choose to make this a personal thing, I mean, I'd be more than happy to. And then Hangman comes out. Already wrestled earlier in the night, but he comes out. To which I ask, why are you here? You lost to Swerve twice. And that's literally what Swerve was screaming at him too. I beat you twice. And Hangman just proceeded to say, I'm making New Year's resolutions right now. I beat Moxley. I reunited with the Elite for like all of 5 minutes, but I digress. And as much as you found me, Swerve, I found you. But the one thing you lost sight of was last year was the AEW, last year was the AEW World Championship. And I'm making it mine in 2024. And Joe, I see you smirking. I haven't forgotten what you did to me, and I'm going to take that title for it. And again, Swerve is literally screaming at this man, I beat you twice. Why the fuck are you here? Which is exactly what I was saying. Why are you here? Like, get your ass behind him in the line. You are not here yet. You are not in this level. I don't need this cowboy continually getting his face where it don't belong. This is Swerve's house. Can we please keep that shit straight, please? But then, spectacular moment as these two guys are screaming at each other. Joe's all by himself in the ring. And then a spotlight appears. And it's Hook. It's the Hook signal. Full on Batman. And then Hook comes out. They get face to face. Just going at each other. And then Hook just puts up one finger and says 1 week. And he tells him, like, I want you next week. And they confirm it. Next week on Dynamite, we are getting Samoa Joe versus Hook for the AEW World Championship. Hook's first AEW World title match. And also because of the Batman thing, this match is sponsored by Suicide Squad, the video game, which is where the Batman signal came from. But also, my good friend Jared, who is a massive Hook fan, is also the biggest Batman fan I know. So you just made him, like, again, my friend Jared has now solidified the fact that Hook will forever and always be his favorite AEW wrestler. There's no one that's going to beat him. Like, you literally had the bat signal for Hook. Like, you can't beat that for him.
I'm figuring there's some Batman fans or Batman comic fans in the old AEW locker room because
Seemingly so, man.
Yeah, this is the second time in a week that we got a AEW person with the reference to Batman. One was John Moxley on New Japan. He came out as Red Hood.
Yeah, he came out as Red Hood, dude, and that shit looks so sick.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I'm talking. My wife gets up to go to work around the time that I'm watching the show, and I'm looking. I was like, dude, John Moxley is one of the coolest, toughest looking dudes on TV. But in his heart, he's just a big fucking nerd like the rest of us. He came out as Red Hood. Like, who the fuck? Who does that? You know? And I was like, yeah, I thought that was cool. And then, you know, they had the hook signal. And I'm like, if this is a part of his presentation, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah,
I
think honestly it would be pretty damn dope if he keeps that around.
Yes, if they want to sign me up for the presentation. Now, the only thing about the hook presentation, this whole hook thing, that I would have done better, or would have done differently, not better. I hated to use the word better because better, you don't know until you present it whether it's good or bad. So I don't know if it's better. Is I probably would have said Samoa tonight in Jacksonville, Samoa Joe would have did it like something like, hey kid, if you can last 15 minutes with me, you get a title shot. Have Hook and him wrestle to a time limit draw. Hook gets a title shot next week. To me, that adds a layer of more sense. Even though he is 28-1, but I'm just like, are any of those 28 that he beat like actually world title challenges?
Right, exactly. Like, are we like if we're talking about the new rules that Joe is using for this whole championship?
It's like
that, is this weighted? Is this record at all weighted? That you're like, can I just beat Brandon Cutler 80 times and then get title?
Yeah, because let's say, can I go out there and beat Peter Avalon and be like, yep, haven't lost a match, let's go. No, it's like it has to matter. So yes, this would have been a perfect time to put like some time in the Hook, give him 15, 20 minutes tonight. Joe doesn't beat him. Then you set up the match for next week. And of course, you know, and that's literally my only tweak.
Just to give, again, a little element of reasonable doubt. Because when there's nothing else in between that and the match, you don't give people time to think that, Hook could beat him because there's no like actual images of him like making Joe sweat.
And I'll take it to a whole nother level. Do the shit on Rampage. Oh my God.
Right.
The show. No, you do it on Rampage because people don't tend to watch Rampage.
Fair.
So you do it on Rampage. You have the world champion wrestling on Rampage against one of your bigger young stars. That leads to a match on Dynamite. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. This is only a few hours, so you can't be like hindsight is 2020. It was like while it was happening, I was like, this would make more sense if this happened.
Yeah, I mean that's makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yes.
Now we had a backstage segment with Timeless Tony Storm, and of course we weren't able to talk about the fact that last week Deonna Purrazzo is officially All Elite. Huge signing,
dude.
Huge signing for the women's division.
The Virtuosa. I'm a fan. When in 2018, I think she was a free agent. She had left WWE and she went to Impact. And I remember like she wanted to raise her profile before coming to AEW. She wanted to, you know, get that national TV spotlight. And I think she did that. And, you know, the fact that she got to debut in her hometown or home state of New Jersey and they erupted and they were yelling, Deonna. Awesome fucking moment for her. I was so happy for her. And, you know, me and you were talking about this. Thunder's back from injury. Serena Deeb's back from injury. Deonna Purrazzo signs. The in-ring level of talent in AEW has just went way up. Now you got Jamie's going to be back eventually. I don't know when that is. Jamie Hayter's going to be back. And eventually you're going to use my favorite women's wrestler, Britt Baker. Eventually you're going to use the face of the women's division. Eventually I guess you have to use Britt Baker. I'm just like, dude, that article came out where she's like, well, y'all wanted less of me. I'm like, who the fuck wanted less of you?
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking
I was
to.
about to say, if you listen to All Things Elite, I was saying we needed more of you and you needed to win. So, All Things Elite, this show, big fan of Britt Baker and big fan of them using her more.
Also, big fan of Serena Deeb. Very glad
Dude,
that
I wanted you to be
back.
the devil, Britt. Like, I want a lot of Britt on my show. And Serena Deeb, one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. I even said if there was, at the time, if there was a female member of the Blackpool Combat Club or they decided to do a female wing, it should be ran by Serena Deeb. I mean, she's the most Blackpool Combat Club wrestler, not in Blackpool Combat Club in AEW. But yeah, there's some news on that I'll cover in the notes later. But no, I fucking love Serena Deeb, and yeah, so I'm happy she's back too and healthy. That's the most important thing. Thunder and Serena, they're back and healthy. And they're going to do nothing but elevate the women's division. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. And moving from what we were talking about, with Deonna Purrazzo, Timeless Tony Storm was talking about Deonna Purrazzo, basically. But then Mariah May asked, obviously, that was where I made my debut last week, when Deonna Purrazzo interrupted me. Did you see my match? And Tony was like, I was sent a screener, but I didn't see a single frame. Like, I'm sure, next thing you do, do a nice little arm drag, like stuff. Do something like that, basically. And
did you like the random Wendy Richter thing?
Yeah, that shit was out of fucking nowhere.
It broke Renee. It broke Renee.
No, Renee was dying, and then like Mariah in the back, like she's just doing the biggest pouty face. I know, because if she was like actively just being like normal, I think she would have cracked too. But then Tony was like, that name Deonna Purrazzo, that sounds familiar. All these women coming after my title. I feel like the prettiest girl at the dance. Luther, set me up with this Deonna. I'm going to get to the bottom of this, basically. And again, Tony Storm is my queen, 1,000%. Very funny. Again, the signing of Deonna Purrazzo, hopefully AEW locking down Mercedes Moné will continue to excite me even more for the women's division. I think this thing has just only the potential to make AEW's women's division so much better and just keep that steady incline of just the talent, the work rate, the wrestling. Everything's going to get so much better, I feel like.
Yep, and it's like you're either going to step up to the level of the new talent or you're going to get stepped on. It's one or the other.
One of those, yeah.
Yeah.
So then we had one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Ricky Starks, face off against Sammy Guevara, and this match was set up because on the next Battle of the Belts, they're going to have Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho face Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Can I say too, and this is on Saturday, it's going to be a street fight as well. This is genuinely, like, if I was to put my money on a Battle of the Belts match where a title would actually change hands, I would put my money on this match. Like, genuinely. I think this could be one of the first Battle of the Belts matches in years where a title changes hands.
And the idea that it could change hands excites me. That's what excites me. It's that it could change hands. That's all I want. I need reasonable ideas that reasonable like expectations of a
reasonable doubt.
Yeah, like when you do a false finish, I want to believe it. That's what it comes down to. When you hit the move that should fit them, I need to believe it. And if it's like, if I don't think the other person's going to win, that doesn't happen. So in this case, I have no idea who's going to win.
No, I'm excited for it. But these guys put on a damn good match. Like Sammy got dropped on the goddamn apron out, like with something. I can't remember what it was. But he got dropped on the apron, and it looked fucking brutal. It looked like his face collided with the apron. There was a great moment where Sammy tried to go for a moonsault, but Ricky basically knocked him in the face with his boot. These guys did some really good stuff, but eventually Sammy gets out of the way of the spear, knees him in the chin, which also looks pretty fucking ow, and then he gets a nice little thrust kick. He rolls him up with an inside cradle. Wasn't a great looking inside cradle. It was honestly kind of a weird looking one, but regardless, inside cradle, he gets the pin. Match was pretty damn good. Then Sammy tries to offer his hand to Ricky to, shake hands. He does. Big Bill then immediately blindsides him, and then Ricky is just like, this kid's fucking stupid. As he yeah, I shook your hand, but fuck you, as he starts kicking him down, which is great. And then Chris Jericho comes out with Floyd the Bat, chases them out, and hits a Codebreaker on Big Bill, and they fight all each other. And then also while this whole thing is happening, Ricky and Sammy are still beating the hell out of each other. So now you have everything that's leading up to the street fight for the tag titles on Battle of the Belts. That will be this Saturday. This was solid. I thought this was pretty damn good. The one thing I will say too, they actually did the right thing with Jericho's music. They skipped to the fucking pre-chorus after the intro and then led into the chorus so people could get the Judas singing over with. You know what I mean? Because normally they would just get through the first verse, which drags. I'm sorry, it drags. When it gets to the Embraced by the Darkness, I know the chorus is coming up, so we can do the singing quickly. Because Jericho's entrance is so long because you have to get through the first verse and the chorus.
Yes, and they did it right because it was a run-in. It wasn't a
exactly.
It wasn't a sing-along with Jericho moment.
No, exactly. I appreciated that. Just a small little thing like that honestly made it's something on the production level that I'm very anal about, but I'm glad they did it. I enjoyed it. But I'm excited for the like I said, the tag match on Battle of the Belts. I think that, like I said, if I were to put money on a title match on a Battle of the Belts show where the belts could change hands, that would be my one. And again, like I've said before, if you're going to call a show a Battle of the Belts, you need titles to change hands. Otherwise, what the fuck is this show? So, yeah. Moving on, we had the other Brody Lee tribute match, which was the 8-women tag match, which had Anna Jay, Chris Statlander, Thunder Rosa, and Willow Nightingale face off against the TBS champion Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Ruby Soho, and Saraya. Two things. One, Chris Statlander coming out and then having the guy who's had the sign that says, "Let Stokely Hathaway manage you." But then she lowers the sign and it's Stokely Hathaway holding it, and then she puts it back up. So fucking funny. So funny. This whole ordeal of just she slapped the shit out of him on Rampage with this whole ordeal. I love this because, again, Stokely is just fantastic. So the fact that he is simping hardcore for Chris Statlander and wants to manage her, it's very entertaining. I enjoy it heavily. And then, like I said, the addition of Danny on the Outcasts, which she very much is obviously Ruby Soho is not happy about it, and she's just kind of I don't know what else to say, but she's crazy, but also has her boobs out like crazy. It's I don't know what to say. She's she's just psychotic, but then also you can't look away from her. I don't know. It's kind of what was sorry, I'm it's blanking on me, but Chelsea Green's character, Beautiful Mess.
Yes.
Beautiful Mess.
Yes.
That's kind of what it reminded me of a little bit. But more so Psycho Beautiful.
Yeah. I got to give something to Harley Cameron.
Harley Cameron, yeah.
She tells a lot of story with just her facial expressions.
Yeah.
She doesn't really have to say anything. She has her eyes are really kind of big. So, her eyes are big. So she tells a lot, an over expression, that crazy look. She does really well. And I think she definitely adds to this. And it was just she was on there. And I've always been like that. If you got people there, use them. Figure out a way to use them. And I think she's doing really great in the role. So, I did I don't know if y'all know this, on the face team, Thunder, Chris, and Willow all wore the same color. They stuck with the...
Yeah, they actually, yeah.
And then Anna Jay said, "I'm Anna Jay. Fuck." And she just, came out.
And I'm wearing my Dark Order stuff.
Yeah, she's doing her own thing. And then, so I did like that, they were on the team, so they kind of geared up together. I thought that was cool. Maybe that leads to them tagging up more. Yeah, but match ended kind of how you thought it was going to end at the beginning. And it was a nice tribute. The whole night's very nice tribute to Brody Lee. Shout out to him. He just rest in peace, all that stuff, because he was an important part of
1,000%.
He was an important part of the of that era where, they couldn't go anywhere and fans couldn't be anywhere. So it was just like he debuted in front of no one, and he told a lot with his body, his work, and everything, and he left a lasting impression on AEW. So absolutely, I think he deserved it.
We miss him every single day.
Absolutely, he deserved it.
Yeah, so these tribute matches did everything we wanted from it. Wheeler Yuta had some words for Eddie Kingston, basically saying, like, you didn't beat me in the Continental Classic because I was busy on Rampage, and the Continental Crown is something that I want, so bring it on Rampage. So we get Wheeler Yuta versus Eddie Kingston for the Continental Crown, which is awesome. I think that'll be a really good match.
And it's on Rampage.
Rampage. Yes.
So you gotta watch Rampage this week. No, don't go look up the results. Watch it.
Yeah, watch it. Actually watch it. We then had the Undisputed Kingdom come out. A match with Roderick Strong facing the bounty hunter Brian Keith. Honestly, match that I felt went a little too long. Kind of wanted it to be a little bit more dominant, in my opinion, but that's just me. But it was still a squash match that had a little bit more action from Brian Keith, who looked good. And then Adam Cole.
They seem very high on Brian Keith. I mean, he's
traveling.
Traveling with them, So
yeah, exactly.
They seem very high on Brian Keith, but I don't do the thing where he loses too much. Throw him a match on Rampage. Throw him a match somewhere where he can get some wins. Because honestly, if you're on national TV every week losing, guess what you become? A loser.
You become a jobber.
Yeah. So give him some wins.
Yeah. I'm all for that. Adam Cole then proceeds to get on his chair while the Undisputed Kingdom is by him, and he goes, when I said this place was going to change, I meant it because so many people are concerned about earning your respect, earning the fans' respect. We do not care about you guys. We do not want to earn anything from you because we already deserve it. Roderick is a 20-year veteran, and as far as I'm concerned, the International Championship already has Roddy's name on it. And then Taven and Bennett, not only the greatest World Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, but they are your current Ring of Honor Tag Champions. They've never gotten the credit they deserve. And then, of course, you got the monster, the Dominator, Wardlow, one of the most physical, vicious men in AEW. Now that Wardlow's surrounded by people who actually care about him and respect him, when the time is right, we are going to win the World Championship. Because, again, he's in another situation where he will win the title, but then he's going to give it to me, Adam Cole. And he said, boys and girls, say hello to your new home, or should I say your new kingdom, and get comfortable because we will be here for a very long time. Adam Cole getting back into his heel shit, like I said, I love it. Adam Cole is so, I said, we've enjoyed.
This is Adam Cole. Yeah.
But this is the thing with Adam Cole. It genuinely feels more normal to me that he's an asshole on TV and a nice, good little boy on Twitch. Like, you know the split. Having him nice all the time is fine. I enjoy it, but I like the split where you see him on TV and you're like, yeah, Adam Cole's a dick. He does all these mean things, blah-de-blah-de-blah. But then he's so cool and nice when he's playing games on Twitch. You know what I mean? So I like that. I like having that back. And he's spectacular in this role. Obviously, I hope that his foot continues to heal up because I do want him to actually do physical things with the Kingdom. But having the Undisputed Kingdom do all his dirty work continues to really be good. And again, since he was the mastermind wearing the devil mask the whole time, it makes sense at this point in time. But I do hope that he's able to be healthy enough to do physical stuff.
Absolutely. Completely agree. I'm so looking forward to when he's absolutely available, but I hope everyone noticed Wardlow didn't come out wearing the Undisputed Kingdom shirt, looked completely disinterested in everything that was going on. The Undisputed Kingdom is a necessary evil for him. That is it.
Yes. It is a means to an end.
Yes.
So it's, again, he does not give a shit about this all. He's around people that care about him. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. I already know what this is.
Yeah.
He's not making that mistake twice. The virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo, was interviewed by Renee Paquette and said, I have my sights set on the AEW Women's World Champion. If she doesn't want to pretend, and she wants to pretend she doesn't know who I am, that's fine. She's going to be reminded when I make my debut on Collision, to which Red Velvet comes out and says, I'll be making my debut on Collision as well. And I say, get in the ring with me and we can stir it up. So we get Red Velvet versus Deonna Purrazzo for her first AEW match. I'm very excited to watch that. Then we'll go ahead real quickly and get into the main event of Dynamite, which is a tornado tag match between Darby Allin and Sting and the Don Callis family, featuring Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs, with Jim Ross on commentary and the Nature Boy Ric Flair out accompanying Sting and Darby Allin. This match was nuts, honestly. Darby being swung like a fucking seesaw and being thrown in the air while he spins 30 times and then hits his head on the fucking ropes was absolutely insanity, absolutely ridiculous. Like, I couldn't, like, it was one of those things I'm just like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? Like, the fact that happened. And then there was a point where he got the Takeshita roll in the German suplex roll and then a German suplex afterwards. Literally thought he landed on his head. Powerhouse Hobbs and Sting were battling each other all throughout the arena. And then eventually they're on the stage right by the fans, and there are two tables by ringside, and he grabs him for the Scorpion Death Drop and fucking throws him through it. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, Sting. Like, Sting continuing doing this stuff. Like, I know we're getting close to him being fully done, but still, at this point in his career, it still freaking terrifies me every time he does stuff like this. It's like absolute madness every time he does these crazy spots. But it was great. And then there's a point where Darby Allin flies through the ring ropes and like crashes into Hobbs. And then eventually, as the match goes on, Sting, like I said, after he does the Scorpion Death Drop through the tables, he then grabs Hobbs and he pins Hobbs in the ring for the victory. And that's a big win for Sting and Darby Allin. And they get interviewed real quick afterwards, basically being like, hey, Sting, so we know that you're going to end your career at Revolution, but who will your opponents be? And that's when the Young Bucks come out with these
It's a super kick party. Yeah.
Awful mustaches.
Did you notice the black and white? The Sting? Yeah.
I saw that. See, to me, I'm a stupid YouTube guy. I saw it as Unis Honest. You're not going to know what that is, but maybe some people do. I saw that as Unis Honest.
I just took it as they were wearing Sting's colors. The black and white.
Colors,
yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. It seems like our match to close out Sting's career will be Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks. Let me just say, I'm so excited for that. I think that will be a damn good match. Me personally, I don't know, but me personally, I kind of wanted it to be Sting versus Darby Allin. That's just me.
Yes.
I know it's kind of tough to have Sting do singles matches. I get that, you know. But that's just kind of what I wanted, because I felt like Sting giving back to Darby, like having him be his final match, and then Sting would go out on his back, Darby gets the win, and then, you know, great celebration of Sting's unbelievable career as, you know, the guy that he broke in with AEW. Like, Sting and Darby Allin were always linked. Always. Like, those two were inseparable. And having them wrestle to close things out, I genuinely thought that's the way I want. Young Bucks versus Sting and Darby Allin will be great. It's not what I personally wanted, but it will be great. But for the love of God, can these guys stop being the absolute biggest pieces of shit?
You're going to be shocked to find this out. I'm going to blow your mind. You might
tell me.
You might just hang up because this is going to shock you and blow you up. I wanted it to be FTR.
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
It's in Greensboro, North Carolina.
I mean, yes.
Who represents North Carolina harder than FTR?
I know.
I mean, come on.
And I mean, like, yeah.
No, like, who represents North Carolina harder than FTR? It's like
that would have fit more for me too. Like I said,
somebody, Matt Kuhn, my guy Matt Kuhn, said the same thing, and everybody's like, they already had a match. I mean, do we have a rule? Is there a rule that I didn't know about, Austin, that people only can wrestle once? Yeah.
I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, is this a rule that somebody threw out there? Oh, they can't wrestle again. And it actually makes more sense, because who won the Sting, if y'all remember, who won the Sting and Darby match versus FTR? Sting and Darby. FTR says, hey, we can't let you retire with the win up on us. Boom, there's your match.
Exactly.
Simple.
And also doing it in North Carolina, where that's FTR country, and like we have so much respect for you. We would be honored to be your final match.
Wrestling is not hard.
It's not.
People try to make it overly complicated. It's not hard.
Listen, people want to know my actual thoughts about this because I'll piss a lot of people off about it, but I can let you know my actual thoughts. This sounds to me like the Young Bucks want street cred for being Sting's last match, and it's not because of like it makes the most sense. They want to be the guys to be known as we wrestled Sting in his final match, which is completely fine. Like I said, who wouldn't want that? But to me, it seems like selfish decision. It sounds like the EVPs wanted to be Sting's last match, whether it made sense or not.
I honestly will say this. I will reserve judgment until I hear what Sting wanted to do. If he wanted him to be them, then I think Sting should have been able to pick whatever.
And that could have 1,000% been the case. Like I said, I'm just speculating. I don't know shit.
Who haven't we wrestled? Oh, the Young Bucks. Cool, let's do it. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know.
You don't know what?
Yeah. Like I don't know what the right decision was. You know what I mean?
And again,
it's
like I said,
the right decision. The right decision is Ric Flair. Ric Flair can't do it. He just
1,000.
physically. That's the right decision. Greensboro, North Carolina, Sting versus Ric Flair. That was what started off. Greensboro, North Carolina, Sting versus Ric Flair. That's what ends it all. That's the match. We can't do it. Ric Flair cannot wrestle. Did you see him just trying to get in and out of the ring?
Dude, I'm telling you, I was terrified he was going to fall.
Yes, and it was like, no, I mean, come on. I love Ric Flair, and, you know, all other stuff aside, you can't take away from none of that, what I've learned in my adult, can take away from him being one of the foundations of me being a wrestling fan. So, but dude, I don't even want him doing what he did tonight. Like, no.
I want him to be home. Like I said, it's been nice to have it. Like, I know it's nice to have him around, and, you know, he's basically there just to wants to be there for Sting's final run. I get that. I'm completely fine with it. But I want him to be home.
Pro wrestling owes him everything. Like, owes him everything. Don't get me wrong. But, like, what I saw tonight just made me sad. And I don't want to be sad when I'm watching wrestling.
Yes. And again, like I said, just closing things out, like I said, I don't know anything. And I'm just telling you the way that it felt to me. Like I said, this could have very well been what Sting wanted to close it out with. But to me, it seems like the EVPs wanted just to be known as the guys that wrestled Sting in his final match. That's what it felt like to me. It's a very pessimistic way of looking at it, but that's the way that it feels to me. Yeah. Because otherwise, I don't get the reason why. Like, there's no connections between these guys. There's nothing. Like, even with Darby, like, there's no connection there, I feel like. There's more with FTR, and again, it feels more of a close-off match if it's a singles match between Darby and Sting. That's the kind of way that I wanted it to be. And then I have to go on Twitter and see Brandon Cutler tweeting about, like, sources are telling me locker room morale is incredibly high up now that the Young Bucks are back. Everyone's hugging and high-fiving, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's tongue-in-cheek. I mean,
I know. I'm just like,
tongue-in-cheek. He has been doing it since they left. So,
and I hated it ever since.
No, it's tongue-in-cheek.
And I can hate on Brandon Cutler because I don't care about Brandon Cutler. No disrespect. I don't care.
Two Jobs Cutler. I love that guy. Two Chet Cutler. I love that guy. He was being funny. I know.
And there's the yin and the yang. That's the set. That's Floyd. That's his side of things.
Oh God, no! Like it was funny. I will always tell this story. I go in to Double or Nothing, the first Double or Nothing at StarCast 2, and everybody's like, "Who's you gonna go so excited to meet?" And I was like, "The first person I'm meeting is Brandon Cutler." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Oh, Brandon Cutler's fucking hilarious." I'm like, do you not see it? I'm like, I love Brandon Cutler. So he's actually the first person. My AEW turnbuckle pad. He was the first person to sign it.
That's awesome, and I love that for you. I don't care about him.
Yeah,
and seeing him constantly tweet and just being the parrot for the Bucks. Like I said, in character, it works very well. In character, in kayfabe, it works very well at pissing me off. So I worked myself into a shoot, if you want to say it like that.
No, it's hilarious because, like I said, I understand. It's like with him, it's like, I would fuck with people too because he's like, you only got the job because the Young Bucks. You're only there because the Young Bucks. Blah 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 blah. And it's just
and he has every right to clap back.
Yeah, so he comes back and he fucks with people, and it's kind of brilliant. But I think he's hilarious. I don't really have a problem with it being the Young Bucks in the tag team because I like the Young Bucks. Don't get me wrong. It'll be a good reset, good build to that. Don't get me wrong. I think Hangman and them set up we're gonna do mustaches thing. I get it. I don't like them, and
that's the least of my worries, honestly.
No. The mustache is the most important thing that happened tonight. Those are terrible mustaches. They need to get rid of them. They need to get rid of them. No. If I'm gonna do the wrestling fan blows up at something small, the Young Bucks need to get rid of their mustaches. No,
fair enough.
No, but I'm looking forward to Sting. I'm looking forward to what he does. The thing about the Young Bucks is if you say anyone is good at anything in this world, the Young Bucks are really good at making people look good. When they want to turn on and make you look amazing, you're going to look amazing.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Like, it will be a great match and all that kind of stuff. It's not what I personally wanted, but I'm not saying that it won't be a banger. I think it will be a great way to close it out, just not the way that I would have done it, is all I'm saying. And I'm pissy, and the Young Bucks annoy me. That's just how it is. I like them, and the things they do that annoy me makes it even harder for me to like them, but I still like them. So I'm just trying to make that as clear as humanly possible. But that is everything that we had for AEW Dynamite. Real quickly, before we go ahead and talk about some other real quick things, I want to go through what was announced for Rampage. Like we said, we're going to have the match between Yuta and Eddie Kingston for the Continental Crown, which is going to be awesome. And then were there any other Rampages matches that were announced as well? I think there was a good amount, honestly, that were... I was gonna say I think there was a good amount of things that were announced for Rampage, and then of course we're gonna have Julia Hart versus Anna Jay on Battle of the Belts on Saturday for the TBS Championship, and then we're gonna have the tag match between Jericho and Sammy versus Big Bill and Ricky Starks. I think there was a couple other things that were announced on Rampage. I didn't see them, and they haven't tweeted them out yet either. So, yeah, there's that.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get quiet.
Were you muted?
Yes. Eddie Kingston versus Willa Yuta. Swerve Strickland versus Matt Sydal. Hikaru Shida versus Queen Amanada. The Dark Order versus Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager. I just went literally all I did was just pull up the actual spoilers for Friday, and those are the matches.
Thank you very much.
Those are the matches that happened.
Thank you. So there's that for Rampage. We actually are going to go through a real quick recap because there was a lot of AEW presence on Wrestle Kingdom 18. We already talked a little bit about it with Moxley and his amazing Red Hood costume. I will just say firmly, as somebody who saw bits and pieces of Wrestle Kingdom, but the one thing I made sure to seek out was Danielson Okada. This was the match that we wanted at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I mean,
this was everything we expected at Forbidden Door that would have been there if Danielson didn't get hurt.
I don't care what anybody says. It's the best wrestling match I've seen this year.
Yes. Every time we get to a Wrestle Kingdom, I get to say that. And goddamn it, dude, those guys, best match I've seen all year. We're 11 days into the year.
Yes.
But no, I mean, Danielson Okada, please watch that match. It is so fucking good. Like, it's like a crime of how good it is. Like, seriously. And again, it just reaffirms that, like, if Danielson didn't get hurt, that match at Forbidden Door 2 would have been spectacular if he didn't get hurt. But it was unfortunate that it did. But I'm glad that we have this match. This is the true Danielson-Okada match.
Hey, hoping that Forbidden Door rubber match.
Rubber match. Let's go, boys.
Whoa, yes. No, I thought this was great. And go watch the entrances to the other guy, which was John Moxley. Oh, first Okada's entrance was amazing. I don't even want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but Okada's entrance was amazing. But go watch the triple threat that Moxley was in with Mox, David Finlay, and Will Ospreay. Mox, of course, I already said the Red Hood thing, but you need to see it on yourself. And then Will Ospreay got permission from the creators of Assassin's Creed, and he came out as Assassin's Creed character.
Yes.
So, again, as cool as they are, as athletic as they are, they're all fucking nerds just like us.
1000%. Also, side note, shout out Dolph Ziggler. He's in New Japan. Fucking Nick Nemeth. Good
Nick
to see
Nemeth. Yeah, the Nemeth brothers showed up. And
they're reunited.
And shout out to my boy JR, who was at the show. He has done something in wrestling that I have not done.
He's been to a Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people have. And shout out to JR. He made the pilgrimage. I think this was Wrestle Kingdom 18.
Yes,
right?
It was 18.
So I told the wife that I'm shooting for Wrestle Kingdom 20.
There you go.
Yes, 2026. I want to be there.
Do you want to run through real quick all the other AEW appearances in Wrestle Kingdom?
That was it.
Those were
that was the two.
Okay, I didn't know for sure because, like I said, I didn't watch much of the other show.
And that's why I was
of the full show. I saw Moxley's triple threat, and I saw the Okada Danielson match.
And
that was one thing from that show that I had to seek out.
And that was my joke that Blackpool Combat Club hasn't been doing a lot of winning.
Oh no.
Yeah, because Mox and Danielson lost that night. Claudio lost. I don't think Blackpool Combat Club has won a match this year.
I don't believe so either.
Yeah.
Crazy.
How are you going to call you the young boy? He's the only one that didn't know winning.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. But that is our little Wrestle Kingdom AEW stuff.
And for a full Wrestle Kingdom review, make sure you go to check out Keeping It Strong Style with Young Boy. I listen to the preview and the review every year. I'm not saying I don't listen to the show through the year, but those are too much listens. They also had their award show, their AEW year-end award show this week. Make sure you check that out too.
Yes, Keeping It Strong Style for New Japan reviews and content. You will never be disappointed listening to those guys. They will do significantly better than myself when it comes to New Japan because there's only so much wrestling I have time for in the day. So those guys have New Japan on lock.
Yes.
Finally, we're going to close things out with our top 5 live events in AEW history, continuing starting off our 5-year AEW top 5 stuff that we're going to be doing throughout the year. So we have our top 5 live events that we have attended in AEW history ranked. How do you want to do this, Floyd? Do you want to go like each of us trade off a number?
Yeah, each of us go trade off a number, and let's go 5-1.
Okay. Do you want to open it up?
All right. My number 5, if you know me, it doesn't shock you at all. AEW Full Gear 2020. My 2 favorite tag teams in the world, still to this day, are FTR and the Young Bucks. It's 1 and 2 now, but it was like 1A and 1B back then. And ever since the tweet started that, one day we're going to wrestle and the world will rejoice, that had been my dream match. And it was like, above all, that was my dream match. I think it was that and Cody versus Triple H at WrestleMania. One of these matches we know is never going to happen. But this match, I had decided, I had been to all the pay-per-views for AEW, and I had decided that I was going to skip Full Gear. And about 3 weeks before it, they said FTR versus Young Bucks. I looked at my wife, because we had been married long, but I looked at her and it says FTR versus Young Bucks, and she was like, "So when are you leaving?" And it was that simple. And yeah, so I got to be there for that match. It was like There's not a lot that's just like a lot of wrestling is super important to me. It was super important that I be there for that match. I don't remember a lot of wrestling show. I believe like Cody lost the title to Darby at that show, but
yeah, TNT title. I think.
Yeah, FTR and the Young Bucks though they did their match, and I didn't care who won. It was Celtics gear, Lakers gear. It was literally everything to me. So that's my number 5.
All right. I will say my number 5, honestly, is a flip-flop. It could be this. It could be the other thing. So I'll real quick. I have an honorable mention, and it's Double or Nothing 2022.
Okay. My honorable mention.
My honorable mention.
My honorable mention is the original All In.
Okay.
Because
I didn't know if we counted that.
The only reason that's why it's an honorable mention. It would have made my top 5 if I was actually counting it.
Yes.
I wanted to give it to honorable mention because it was kind of the pilot for AEW.
And
so,
that would be my other honorable mention.
Yeah.
But the reason I would have this also be one is Double or Nothing 2022. This could easily swap in with my number 5 pick at any given point. Reason why Double or Nothing 2022. CM Punk won the world title. Problem is that match is tainted because of you know why. But also, I got to meet one of my best friends for the first time ever that weekend. And that's my good friend, Jared O'Brien. Love that dude to death. He lives in California. I live in Michigan. We met online. I met him through his YouTube channel. We connected on social media. We've been talking for years. And then there was a time where it worked out where I was like, hey, we're going to this show in Vegas. If you can make the trip, I know it's not a long trip for you since you're in Cali. Do you want to go to the show together? You've never been to an AEW show. Like, let's make this happen. And we did. We all hung out. You got to meet him as well. I mean, dude is like one of the most genuine, amazing dudes that I know. Like, that dude is like, he's like, we talk about day ones. That's a day one for me. I love that dude to death. Being able to meet him, honestly, was better than the show itself, which the show was spectacular. Like, Double or Nothing 2022 was really, really good, and has only taken a bit of a damper because of outside bullshit. But meeting him, like, at that show is a reason why it's one of my favorites because, like I said, enjoying it with him was incredible. I had so much fun with it.
Your music knowledge will go up 40% from what it is, whether you consider yourself a novice or expert, just by being around Austin and Jarrett together.
Dude, we talk so much music, dude. It's crazy.
Deep cuts. It's not like popular stuff. Like you learn when you're around them. Like through osmosis, you might not even care what they're saying, but it's just, I always say this is the universal language of passion. And they love music, so
yeah. No, and that dude like has such a vast knowledge. I mean, obviously his dad is literally a rap legend. I won't get into it, but he's in the culture and like all that kind of stuff. And I mean, there's no dude that I know that like has more love and admiration for music than that guy. Even if he is a Dirty John Cena fan. Anyways, my actual number 5, real quick, All Out 2019. I mean, that one was a blast for multitude of matches. Obviously, Kenny Omega and Pac killed it.
And you sat behind some people that you knew, too.
I did, yes. I did sit behind y'all. I mean, that was our first time on Hardcam, dude. That's one of the reasons, actually, it's number 5. Like, I can know that, like, I was on Hardcam the entirety of that show. And, like, I can load up the AEW video game, and they have, like, the moments in AEW history that they'll go through when you play the career mode, and like when it shows the first AEW World Champion being crowned with Jericho, you see us right there. So like literally, like I'm in an AEW video game because I was on Hardcam for the entirety of All Out 2019, which again was an amazing show. Still was the best presentation of Sean Spears in his entire AEW career. I stand by that firmly, and that match was awesome, even though I thought Sean should have won. That's just me, but Cody was awesome in that match. But it was a blast. That show was so much fun. And like I said, it felt like the sequel to All In for me. And the fact that we were Hardcam the entire time was amazing. And also being there for Orange Cassidy's debut was fucking awesome. Especially since we saw him at 2 Cup Stuffed at GCW literally like the night or two before. So
I literally had no idea who that man was. That was funny.
We were going bananas. You can see us jumping up and down behind him when they cut a close-up to him. So that's my number 5, All Out 2019.
My number 4, AEW Dynamite 1, Washington, D.C. When the pyro goes off and Cody comes out, you see a big, excited black man right there, Floyd. I think that was me and Tiffany's first trip together as friends. She flew in from her city. I flew in from mine. We went to the show with Dave, my friend Josh. It was just a great time. And it was just like, this is like I'd been to the pay-per-views, but this was Major League. This was primetime television, TNT. I didn't get to go to a lot of Nitros because, back then I was broke. So, I got to start over with AEW. Fun night. Formation of the Inner Circle. Debut of Proud and Powerful. I believe Jake Hager, too. Jake Hager and Proud and Powerful debuted. It was a big night. It was everything. I think John Moxley put Kenny Omega through a table in the back, like a glass table in the back. It was...
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Yeah, it was a great night. A great night. And I'll never forget it, that I was at that show.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. My number 4 is Forbidden Door 1. Forbidden Door 1 was such a huge, just moment in time in wrestling. Being back at the United Center, that place was packed and it was loud. The debut of Claudio Castagnoli, all of these talented guys that I'd seen on New Japan. This was only my second New Japan show I'd ever seen. That was New Japan was on the billing. My first one was G1 Supercard at Madison Square Garden. So seeing all these guys, seeing Will Ospreay, and I got to be basically ringside for a Will Ospreay match with him and OC, who fucking tore it down. I loved that match. Sting jumping off the fucking stage onto the Young Bucks and Bullet Club Young Bucks. I loved. And dude, that show was just filled with so much excitement. First ever crossover show for AEW New Japan. And it just felt like a huge moment. It really felt like a moment. And being able to be there for that, and it was so much fun. That show was a blast.
Yeah, amazing show. And it's not on my list, but when you see the show, hear the shows that are on my list, you will completely understand why that one didn't make my list. So my number 3, AEW Rampage number 2, The First Dance.
There it is.
Yeah, CM Punk. I'm literally scheduled to be in Chicago a week from then, and all the buzz comes down that it's going to be there. See Austin, Sydney, sit next to Jeremy. Will's there. CM Punk literally jumps on in our group, and you see me on camera. It was amazing, and it was a moment that I'll never forget in wrestling. I mean, I don't remember the rest of the show. I don't. But that CM Punk thing, the chant start, when that first sound of the music, I don't know music technology, but when that first sound of the music comes out, it was motherfucking clobbering time. And it was
the first riff, yeah.
Yeah, it was first riff, yeah. It was it was amazing moment that is vividly remember right now, I remember every part of that, 10 to 15 minutes, going in the building, taking a picture with the Jordan statue, my first time in the United Center. I got goosebumps. I don't do that. I don't say that. I see The Rock say it a lot of times, so I just got goosebumps thinking about that moment of CM Punk coming back.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because my number 3 is The First Dance as well. I couldn't put it any higher, because here's the thing. It was a one-moment show. Because, after he returned, I stood in line for a T-shirt the rest of the show. By the time I had got my T-shirt, that I was there for The First Dance, the show was over. I heard Justin Roberts say, "Thank you for coming. Drive home safe." That's when I got my T-shirt. So everything else that took place after that, I did not see. But I mean, it's my favorite wrestler of all time. I had never seen him wrestle live. I had never seen him in a ring live. And I was there when he returned to wrestling for the first time. I know I will say this firmly too, because I know there's many people that are talking about, his return on the First Dance compared to his return at Survivor Series that just happened a few months ago. I don't like comparing those two because they're two very, very different things. For me, just watching that back and seeing the tears in his eyes as he's like kneeling on the ground and he's just fully taking it in. Because this is a man that didn't think he was going to wrestle ever again. Regardless of what happened after everything that took place. You look back at that moment without any inclination of what was coming next. It was just pure joy in that building. I had tears in my eyes. I was like screaming so loud, my head hurt. Like I thought I was going to burst a blood vessel. I was screaming so much. It was one of the greatest experiences I've had as a wrestling fan. And if it wasn't for the fact that I stood in line for a t-shirt for the rest of the show, it probably would be my number one. But I can't rank it any higher than 2. It's just not possible.
Yeah, if we did top 5, if we might do it, just our top 5 AEW moments. For me, it would, it's 1 or 2 for me.
Yeah, no, it's 1 for me for moments, for sure.
Yes.
But I can't, for shows, it can't go higher than 3. It's just not possible.
All right. My number 2, AEW All Out 2019. First row. First time in a pay-per-view, first row. And the show was amazing. The world champion done. Pac beats Kenny Omega. I remember that. But most importantly, so my favorite wrestler at the time, Cody Rhodes, has a match with Shawn Spears. At the point, my favorite wrestler of all time, Arn Anderson, comes out. And something I literally never thought I would see happens right in front of me, 10 feet in front of me. I see Arn Anderson deliver a spine buster live. Now, as a pretty much broke kid growing up in Oklahoma City, Arn Anderson retires in 96 or 97? He does his speech. And then I think it was that moment with Ric Flair and Undertaker where Arn Anderson hits the spine buster. I wasn't there for any of that. And I was pretty resolute on the fact that I would probably go my whole life without seeing Arn Anderson hit a spine buster live. It was like, it was out of my head. And then he comes out and then he hits the stance. That stance I'd seen what feels like thousands of times. And then he catches Shawn Spears with the left arm and hits the spine buster. Like, my mouth's wide open. Tears are coming down my eyes. And it was it. And I was next to what would end up being one of my best friends in the world, Tiffany. Our first show, sitting next to each other. First row, on camera the whole night. Rooting on Cody. Arn Anderson comes to the ring. Tully Blanchard's right there. Shawn Spears right in front of us. That whole show, we're new world champion. I mean, I could keep going. But yes, that was it. And it took, literally, it was number 1 until about 5 months ago.
All right. My number 2 is Double or Nothing 2019. That was my number 2. That show to me was just there was such an air of like, holy shit, we're part of something like special.
Absolutely.
Because first AEW show. And it will be firmly carried by 2 things. One, still to this day, probably one of my favorite AEW matches of all time, Dustin versus Cody. That match, genuinely, like, I can't even think of a way that it could have been any better. Like, it's still, like, close to as perfect of a match as you could want, I feel like. And then, of course, Jon Moxley showing up. Like, that paradigm shift that it truly was when he showed up at the end of the show, like, shook the building. Place was going insane. Everything else on the show was very enjoyable. The only thing that you would say that wasn't was the original debut of the Dark Order. That fell like a can of bricks. That was awful. But they sorted themselves out afterwards anyway, so it was fine. But other than that, and like I said, it just, to me, being there for that felt so big. You know what I mean? And it was just such an enjoyable night, and I had so much excitement for the continuation of what AEW was going to be, since this was really the starting point.
All right. And number 1 for me, which I don't believe should shock anyone. I told when Tony Khan's like he wanted to do a show in London. And he said it many times, and they wanted to do a stadium show in London. And I told anyone that would listen, I've said it on this show, their first show in London, their international show will be my first time in London, and I will be there for it. And this is me thinking it's going to be at the Cottage or whatever, wherever Fulham plays. Thought it was going to be there, but I didn't care where it was. I was going to be there. Then they announced the show, Wembley Stadium. As a kid, 11, 12 years old, when Dynamite Kid and, I said Dynamite Kid, Davey Boy Smith and Bret Hart at SummerSlam. Very important match to me. Very big. I mean, I have a bulldog named Winston, because of Davey Boy Smith. And, so it was like the childhood dream. I was going to be in Wembley, and I was going to watch a wrestling show. So I get to go to a wrestling show. Y'all got to hear all the passport shit I had to go through. And then month before I find out that my two favorite tag teams ever, FTR and the Young Bucks, are going to be in there. And I got to walk into Wembley Stadium in front with 80,000 people, the largest audience in AEW history. I don't even know when or if they'll ever break that number. Don't come at me with the turnstiles. I'm just like, dude, most tickets sold in AEW history. And I was there, and I was with Dave, and I was with my friend Steve, and I was with all my friends from the UK that have been coming to WrestleMania for years. Coming to WrestleMania for years. And I was like, man, when they come over there, I'll be over there. And I got to see it, and I got to hug, and it was funny. My friend from Louisiana, Chase, was there. Got a picture with him, and it was just like that whole experience, London, the shows, even the welcome party that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, was still the best. And when you talk about your favorite live events, it's probably my favorite live event ever. I mean, honestly, two, because All In never. I don't think anybody's going to beat the original All In my mind. But that All In London, yeah, I'll take it to the grave. When I'm old and I have Alzheimer's and I go back into moments, it will be like I'll go back into that day and live it over and over again.
Absolutely understandable on that one. My number one live event that I have attended for AEW, All Out 2021. It is the best AEW show they've ever done. Best pay-per-view, best show. There's not a better one. Like, it's top to bottom the best show. I mean, I got to be in the building when CM Punk had his first match back in wrestling after 7 years, and I got to be in the arena where Ruby Soho came back. I got to see all of a sudden, holy shit, freaking Minoru Suzuki showed up and faced off against Jon Moxley. Holy shit. I got to see Adam Cole's debut in AEW. And of course, I got to see Bryan Danielson's debut in AEW. That was such a moment in time. And I feel like has been the true peak of AEW. Like, the level of like, oh my God, this shit is like, it's not possible that this happened. This show should not have been possible. And it was. And being able to be there for that, like, was incredible. Like, I don't think there will be an AEW, like, it's going to be very hard for an AEW show to beat that. It's going to be very hard for a wrestling show to beat that. Like,
you know why it's never going to be my number one or even in my top 5?
Go ahead.
No Cody.
Fair, but you know what? You know what, man? I get it for you, but I just can't. There's no way it's not.
No. It was a great show. It was a great show.
So good. Like, that one will forever be my number one.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard to beat it.
My boy wasn't there, but dude, Miro and Kingston, banger. With Jon Moxley and Satoshi Kojima. It wasn't a bad match on the show. Wasn't a bad match. Well, there was one, Paul White and QT Marshall, but that was fun.
Like I said, that was so quick and over with.
Everybody needs to go use the bathroom at some point in life. So no, No, it was a fucking great show. It was a fucking great show. I can see why it's your number one. And yeah, no, it was a good night. That was a good night. Yeah, I think we got the pictures with the chairs after the show together. I think that was one of them. Yeah.
No, it was the Double or Nothing 20. That was 2020. Well, I think we took a picture with the chair. Yeah, but you were the one that got me the Double or Nothing chair.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just like, no, I'm gonna love these top fives because I can reminisce about my AEW experiences, and it's just this has been a great ride. This 5 years, it's not over. It's not over, but to reflect, 5 years is a good time to reflect, and it's so funny because 5 years of AEW lines up exactly with 5 years of being married to my wife. Best thing that ever happened to me. So it's like one of the best things that ever happened to me wrestling wise happened in 2019. One of the best things that ever happened to me in my life happened in 2019. So we are, it's going to be cool going through these moments. Yeah, but it was a great show. That was a great show. And we've been at a lot of these together. You know what I mean? It's like our list is very, very similar because we were there together, and that means the world to me. Like you and Sydney are an absolute necessity in my life at this point in time. So, it's been a ride, and I hope the people hung with this to listen to the top five because, if you're up to it, we're gonna post it. We're going to post the show ever, and I'll probably post a little quick version of our top fives on the comments. If you want to throw your top five AEW live events, that's the only thing. You had to be there because we're going to do our top five matches of all time. We're going to do our top five events of all time. But in this particular case, it's just ones that you were at. And, if you can't be in this one, you'll be in the next one. I promise.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I don't even like. I'll message you what the top five will be for next week because I'm deciding through a few things. But
right.
But that was awesome. I feel really good about doing this to end out each show.
Absolutely. I think that'll be a great moment to close things out for this episode of All Things Elite. Again, we're gonna post this. We'd love to hear your guys' top five events that you've been to in AEW. Again, events that you've been to, live and in person.
Yes.
We're going to eventually do our best events in general, and then our best matches, moments, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll get to all that.
Yeah, so if you can't be in this one because you haven't been to a lot of shows, don't feel bad. You'll be at the next one. We got you.
1,000%. We got you. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of All Things Elite. Please rate, review, and subscribe, whether you listen to us on Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is. Rate, review, subscribe, and share us around. And follow us on Twitter at ATElitePod. You can also follow at Social Suplex, who make this show possible and have incredible shows. We mentioned Keeping It Strong Style. There's also so many other great shows Social Suplex has. So check those out and support those guys. They're all spectacular. I am at Austin Sumowicz, SZUMOWICZ. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. And with that, I will let my man Floyd. I will not be here next week, folks, because I will be in Orlando.
Yeah,
I will let you know that from Jump Street. So I will let you know.
It will be me and JR, and we're going to kind of discuss his time at Wrestle Kingdom and his time in Japan because I've never been there. So
Hell yeah!
I want to learn a little bit about his experience. Of course, we're going to review the shows, talk about the wrestling, but as an extra bonus, we're going to talk about his time in Japan.
1,000%. I'm super excited to listen to it. I'm so jealous that he was there.
Yeah.
But regardless, that's all I got. So I will pass it off to Floyd so he can take us home for this episode of All Things Elite.
Oh, yes. Thank you all for listening. First show of the year. Hopefully we did great and we didn't waste your time. We're looking forward to the rest of the year. I'm not going to be long-winded here because we've already kept you 2 hours. But I'd just like to thank you for listening. We appreciate you listening. Second moment. Anytime you can, if you decide you feel it is worthy or deemed, go ahead and press that donate button and kick us a little something. Let us know you love us. Buy us a double cheeseburger, No amount's too small. We appreciate you all for listening, and I'm going to leave you like I always leave you. Whether it is home, work, or school, always do your best to be elite. Happy New Year.